Each time something is addressed. Many, including I, have always been curious about whether alternate realities, timelines parallel to our own exist. Some would pay for information on what goes on in other timelines. Some would pay to be able to travel to them, to explore them. Of course, theoretically, we're always creating new timelines every time we act on a decision. But that's not cool enough, is it? One day, I gave in to the desire for some proof of a timeline beyond our own. I did as much research as I could. I found multiple stories about people who had supposedly traveled to alternate realities. I messaged each of them to ask if they had any proof of their experiences. One of them got back to me. I was expecting a simple short no. What I got was something else. I got an actual lead. I'm sick of this. Just take this. Take it and leave me alone. I know it's just a website, but that's all I can provide. I really do not understand how jumping to different timelines work. So don't bother me. You don't have to use Tor or any VPN. They aren't as secure as you might think. The dark web is filled with FBI agents already. There was a man who was part of a government operation to observe somebody who had lurked at classified information on the dark web. He was a pawn who thought he knew everything, not a government agent in case you wanted to know. Fair enough, I thought. I didn't want to get caught up in that kind of thing. There's a box buried under the ground at. I won't give you the full coordinates just in case. I buried it so I could forget about the damn thing. I put it in a box and refrained from destroying it in case I ever needed it. I looked up the coordinates and found the general area. There's a laptop inside the box. The password is... Don't worry, it's not my own laptop. It's no one's own personal laptop. Just put the password in. You will then have access to an app that gives you 10 alternate timelines to read about. You can refresh the page as many times you'd like. Each refresh gives you 10 different alternate timelines. Some of them are descriptions of wider universes. Others are descriptions of general thematic clusters of realities. You'll get a bunch of specific timelines too, of course. I drove up to the spot the coordinates pointed to. It was a forested area. I parked on the side of the road, then I walked into the patch of trees. Once I got to the approximate location, I began to dig. I dug around for 15 minutes until I found something. A gray box. I opened it and saw a laptop inside. I opened it, booted it up, and typed the password in. Then I hit enter. I was brought to the blank startup screen with one icon to the bottom left. I clicked the icon. A page opened. I was hoping I trusted the right source. I mean, he posted a list of 5 events with exact dates back in 2013. Each event ended up happening on the corresponding dates. 2015 dates, to be specific. He deleted the post right before the first exact date came, but I had written the events down on a sheet of paper right after I first read them. I did it in case they would be deleted. It was amazing how accurate they were. Anyway, these are the 10 realities that were described on the page that came up. I typed summaries of the descriptions into my notes and remembered the images that were below each description. March 29th, 2036. March 29th, 2036 is an alternate reality where everybody grows the ability to sense the time of their death. Calendars are used as a reference for how long one has left to live. 70% of the world has March 29th, 2036 as the date of their death. 10% have it scattered over the rest of the 2030s. The youngest people won't have the exact date of their death until 6 years after the date. The weirdest thing is that nobody has any major clue what will happen on that day, There aren't any asteroids on track to even pass Earth on that day. The image below the description was an average image of Earth from space. The hyper psychokinetic. Don't piss this guy off. He's a man who can send people into an everlasting dark grey void with no floor for any amount of time, which includes 100 years for them, but 1 second for him. He can transfer all of his thoughts and feelings into someone else's head. He can make anybody he sees say or do anything within their ability. He can make people feel pain they inflict onto others to different extents, from a small fraction to 10 times more intense. It's theorized he's using his abilities to make sure he doesn't get any media attention whatsoever. Unfortunately, it's easy to anger him, as he feels entitled to almost everything. The image below was of the human brain. The shapeshift murderer. In one reality, there have been 107 cases of murder connected to an unknown shape-shifting entity. The entity disguises itself as an appliance, such as a thermostat or a blender, or an item of furniture, like a bed or a couch. Based on camera footage from 26 of the crime scenes, the entity observes the person for some moments before finding its way inside them. It then kills them from the inside out. All victims have a perfect circular hole in their stomach. The image below was a screenshot of a security camera footage of a kitchen. A red circle was drawn over the microwave. This one really gave me chills as I read it. The Great Merge. The Great Merge was an event where two different timelines merged with each other. One of the timelines was like ours, only alternate in the sense that it was subject to the merge. The other timeline was a reality where the current year was 1731 CE. It was also just like our timeline, but it was about 300 years behind. On January 17, 2020, both timelines merged with each other. Everyone from the 1731 universe found themselves in a reality where the year was 2020. A reality about 300 years ahead of theirs. Those native to the 2020 universe were split on what to do. Many saw those from the alternate past as useful glitches. Many others offered the people all the support they could give. The image below was of a horse fused with the front of a car parked outside a shop. It was a weird thing to look at. True mirror universe. This cluster of realities is referred to as the true mirror universe to our own. It's one where everything we know is right is what is considered wrong. Everything we know is wrong is what is considered right. Mouths are 2 times wider. Spaces are minimal. What we consider pain is considered pleasure, and vice versa. Everyone talks in an offbeat, pause-heavy way. All the music is offbeat, and history is not kept track of very often. The image below was of a person whose mouth extended to their nose. The bottom of their chin stretched to the sides of their head. The detail made it look more realistic than your average edited YouTube video thumbnail. I shivered at how unnatural it looked. The Y2K bug happened. In that reality, the Y2K computer bug became an issue. It began when electronic glitches happened in New Zealand after the clock struck midnight there. One of the things that happened was interest rates skyrocketed as databases thought many people were 100 years older than they were. This sent governments around the world into a frenzy as they anticipated the clock hitting midnight in their respective time zones. Americans had 18 hours to prepare before their clocks began to hit midnight. The image below was an image of the Times Square ball sitting on an illuminated year 2000 sign. Everyone is out to get you. Sometimes it's because you were a mass murderer there. Sometimes a strange sound from an unnatural source made everyone who heard it want to kill you. Sometimes a creature is against you, and it decides to use brainwave manipulation to turn everybody against you. There are many realities in which everybody hates you with a vengeance. In some of them, you are hated for a good reason. In others, you are the unlucky subject of a demon or a cosmic force. The image below was a photo taken from an upper floor window. 12 people stood in the front lawn. Some held hammers, others held baseball bats, others held kitchen knives. One was holding a shotgun. One other was holding a rope. Mirror Portal Universe. This is a universe where people are able to jump to different realities with the use of any mirror at any time. This means people may accidentally slip into a number of different realities, including ones where they or their friends weren't born. There has never been any guarantee they'd make it back to their home reality. The most intense realities include ones in which their sleep paralysis demon was real and was waiting to attack them, or where flames were engulfing their house at the moment. The image below was a simple image of a bathroom mirror. The verbal demon. Every time you verbalize something out loud without meaning to, it's because your subconscious detects an invisible entity that is standing near you. You have to be careful what you say, as certain trigger phrases will inspire the entity to possess you. The exact phrases aren't known. The demon never tells anybody what they are. Victims are unable to tell anybody what the phrases are, as the demon disallows them from acting on the slightest impulse. There was no image below the description. The Marianas Titan. On July 6, 2018, an anomaly was detected in the depths of the Marianas Trench. On July 31, 2018, a metal monstrosity with blue eyes was announced to have arisen above the surface. It wasn't clear what it wanted. Scientists and militaries tried to figure it out, but came up short. There was some silence until September 1st, 2018, when it was announced New Zealand had become inaccessible due to an ominous fog-like cloud. Crews were sent to investigate the fog. Once they went in, all contact was lost with them. They never ended up re-emerging. On September 3, 2018, the fog cut Australia off from the rest of the world. On September 6, Papua New Guinea suffered the same fate. Every 3 days, the fog consumed one big nation or 2 smaller nations and any nearby tiny island nations. 95% of the world was engulfed by the fog as of July 21, 2020. No updates have come about since then. The image below was taken in a field. A thick white cloud of fog took up the entirety of the area in the distance, reaching up to the clouds. Some of these were clearly realities alternate to our own. We as a species are unable to know when we're going to die. Y2K wasn't a big issue. No one from 1731 is alive anymore. I would know if I accidentally slipped into another reality after staring into a mirror. And there's no fog. I assumed the same about the others, until I read the disclaimer at the bottom of the page. Information provided from timeline July 2nd, 2022, 1901, 56787, to the timeline you're reading this in. All information is provided from a timeline you don't belong to. To prevent an overload of attempts to cross into other timelines, one of the 10 timelines is your own. My heart sank as I realized that any one of them could be our reality. At any point, I could be subjected to a psychokinetic horror story. I could be murdered by a shape-shifting entity. In the future, everyone might want to cut me up all of a sudden. But which one? I wondered. When will I find out which one of those realities is my own? hopefully when it's not too late. However, there's nothing I can do if any of that stuff happens to me. It sounds impossible to stop. I cannot prepare for any of it without expecting hell, no matter what. I feel cold again, typing this out. It's been 4 days since I read the information. I've been pondering which everyday person might be the one with the hypopsychokinesis. Which phrase must I not say out loud? Can I find a way to make sure somebody likes me enough to at least leave me alone if in the future some weird thing makes everybody want to murder me? I'm exhausted right now. If there's something I'm missing, I'll think about it tomorrow. Anyway, I gotta go check on my thermostat. Out of the corner of my eye, I've been noticing that the numbers keep changing for a couple of seconds. Every minute or so,